So I am one who scours the newspaper every morning, and I actually have a paper. I'm one of those old-timey folks that like to hold the paper when I read it. And I find I see things in that I don't see on the telephone for a number of different reasons. And I read with interest this morning that the House of Representatives, a bill was introduced this week that would provide the death penalty for women who get an abortion. Now, as you know, I am a proponent of the death penalty, but I think it should be used sparingly. So I read the bill and wondered how one would come to, and by the way, it had 21 sponsors. In one day, they're down to 16. So support is quickly eroding for this proposition. But it said to me, maybe I should go look at this. So I did a little research and found that in Afghanistan, where the Taliban rule, the maximum penalty for an abortion is 7 years. In Iran, where the Ayatollah rules, the maximum penalty for an abortion is 2 years. Matter of fact, the only sentence of death I could find for an abortion was in 1944. The Vichy government, the Nazi government in France, passed a law making an abortion punishable by death, and a woman was actually put to death by the guillotine in 1944. So in scouring, and this Google thing is just wonderful, isn't it? In scouring the records, I found that only instance. And so I said to myself, what is the goal? Tougher than the Taliban? Really? Really? And so I began looking at more about this bill, and we're getting national press on it. I know that helps, Senator from Gaffney, recruit industry to come to South Carolina, the only state in the country with a death penalty or a proposed death penalty for abortion. Obviously, I'm being a little bit facetious here, but it just says to me, and I understand it's that other body across the hall, and we know they pass bills and we pass laws. I get all that. But it seems to me that there's something going on over there that is, if you watch the budget process this week, an exercise in, I'd call it juvenile, but for the fact there's 21 votes over there to do all kinds of wacky things, including this. So I wanted to bring it to your attention. I looked at the list of sponsors that are still sponsors and found a number of them are in your districts, none in mine, thank God, but in a number of your districts. And I wanted to share with you their names so that next time you run into them, you suggest that perhaps they're on the wrong track, that they're not heading in the right direction, that they're perhaps need to refocus their efforts. There's water, there's sewer, there's developments, investments, there's taxes. There's all kinds of things we need to deal with. This is not one of them. Representative Robert J. Rob Harris, District 36, Spartanburg. Representative James Mickle Mike Burns, District 17, Greenville. Representative William M. Bill Chumley, District 35, Greenville and Spartanburg. Representative Jordan S. Pace, District 117, Berkeley. Representative Roger Nutt, there had to be one in here, District 34, Spartanburg County. Representative Thomas Beach, District 10, Anderson, Greenville, Pickens counties. Representative Stuart Jones, Lawrence County. Representative Joe White, District 40, Lexington and Newberry. Representative Stephen Wayne Long, District 37, Spartanburg. Representative David O'Neill, District 66, York. Representative Joshua Magnuson, District 38, Spartanburg. Representative Donald Ryan McCabe, Jr., District 96, Lexington. Representative Ashley Trantham, District 28, Greenville. Representative John Gregory J. Kilmartin, District 85, Lexington. Representative Brandon Gaffney, District 48, York. Representative April Cromer, District 6, Anderson. These are the folks in your district that are espousing positions that are, I mean, even whether you're pro-choice or pro-life, the death penalty, really? Really? And this trend, and if you talk to some of the responsible folks, mostly Republicans in the House, they'll tell you these folks are not interested in governing. They're interested in terrorism, and maybe that's why they're tougher than the Taliban on abortion. And by the way, both in Iran and Afghanistan, there are exceptions to save the mother's life or fetal abnormalities. So I'd point out, even where Sharia law is in effect, it's not as tough as what these representatives want.
Senator from Charleston, Senator Sin, what purpose do you rise?
To see if the senator would yield.
Sure.
Senator Yield for a question?
Yes.
Senator, I'm wondering why you did not name Ms. Landing, Mr. Lieber, I don't know if it's Mr., Ms., or any of these, Vaughn, Patalino, Lawson, Ligon, and Haddon. I recognize they took their names off of the bill, but yet they actually put their names on as co-sponsors at some point.
Well,
so why did you leave them off?
Well, because they apparently saw the light and realized they'd done a very stupid thing.
But would you ever read a bill and say, oh, wow, this is a great idea. Let's give the death penalty to people who have an abortion, and then go, oh, no, Rolling Stone put it in their magazine. It's not looking good for the state. I better pull my name off of it. I still think they should get some recognition for their bravery in signing on to a bill like this to begin with.
Well, I mean, my view that reading is not the strong suit of the Freedom Caucus over there, so maybe they didn't read it. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt they either can't read or didn't read.
Senator, your 5 minutes has expired. Senator from Anderson, Senator Cash, what purpose do you rise, sir?
Point of personal interest.
You're recognized on a point of personal interest. While the senator from Anderson comes to the podium, Senator from Colleton, what purpose do you rise?
To make a unanimous consent.
State your request.
That the words of the Senator Hart Pootlian from Richland be recorded in the journal.
Without objection, so ordered. Senator from Anderson, Senator Cash is recognized for up to 5 minutes.
So I didn't know we were going to be debating the killing of unborn babies today, and whether there should be any criminal penalty attached to that for those who were involved in that. A few weeks ago, I asked one of the attorneys here to find the code on the killing of an unborn baby if someone does that other than the mother. In other words, if you kill a woman's unborn child while you're assaulting that woman, you kill the child as well. The penalty in law is the same as for killing the woman. In other words, the unborn child is treated just like any other person if you kill that unborn child in the process of assaulting the woman. In the very same portion of the code, however, it states that this does not apply if the woman goes to get an abortion of her own consent. There's no penalty. And so I have to ask, because I think it begs the question as to who kills the unborn child and for what reason. Does that intent somehow change the ontological nature of the biological living organism inside the woman? That if that unborn baby is killed as a result of a malicious attack on the woman, whoever kills that baby can receive the same penalty as for killing the woman. But if that baby is killed because the woman wants the baby killed, then all of a sudden, no human being exists. no person was killed. No penalty should ensue. The pro-life community has developed a problem. The pro-life community wants to, out of compassion and sympathy for a woman who perhaps feels coerced or pressured into killing her own child or having someone kill that child for her, the pro-life community itself has now said, even if abortion should be made illegal, even if we should pass the Human Life Protection Act, there should never be any penalty for a woman. Well, what does that imply about the nature of the victim if there is no penalty for the person who is chiefly responsible for undergoing an abortion, whether a surgical abortion or whether taking pills at home? What does that imply about the unborn child except that, well, it's not really much of a crime, is it? And that's why I disagree, most likely, with most everybody in this body. I believe in personal accountability. That if we were to pass the Human Life Protection Act, you are personally accountable, you're morally responsible for your actions. People are moral agents. Now, what the penalty should be is a separate question. I think politically we all know you could not attach the same penalty as the person who kills that unborn baby in a malicious attack upon the mother. But to say there's no penalty whatsoever is just inviting in future days, if we should pass the Human Life Protection Act, there's no penalty whatsoever. Well, then what's the deterrent for a woman to get those pills on the black market and administer them to herself at home? There is no deterrent whatsoever. And I would remind you that over the past 4 years, the number of babies killed chemically by taking pills has risen 6 to 7% a year until right now, 75% of all the babies killed by abortion are killed by these pills. If we pass the Human Life Protection Act as it appeared before this body in its latest iteration, there'd be no penalty for the only person probably involved, the person procuring the pills and taking the pills. To say that's justice belies our statement that this is a human being deserving of the legal protection of the state. To say that's a just law creates a contradiction in terms if the human being inside the woman actually has any right to legal protection whatsoever. And so, Senator from Richland, I understand they make an easy target by their bill, but I understand there's a real issue here. Perhaps they are trying to highlight, and perhaps you think it's poorly done in the way they've chosen to do it.
Senator, your 5 minutes has expired. Senator from Fairfield, what purpose?
Unanimous consent request.
State your request.
2 additional amendments to allow the senator to complete his remarks.
2 additional amendments. Objection.
Thank you.
Objection is heard.